Tracey, Mayor Jo Anderson has appointed you as chair of the Race Equality Task Force Group. What does that mean? Okay, so really, what's the word that I'm looking for? I think give respect to Jo Anderson for setting up the Race Equality Task Force. Not everybody would want to do that. Quite courageous to hold a microscope up to yourselves and to the city. So in terms of the Race Equality Task Force and the chair, its role, so the Race Equality Task Force is set up, I guess, in response to the Black Lives Matter movement, global movement, that said, actually, the racism and race discrimination isn't just happening over there in the States, it actually is happening worldwide. And here in Liverpool, we've also accepted that racial discrimination exists, and we're a city that, particularly with our legacy of the slave trade, have a lot of work to do. So we will be holding a microscope, I guess, to all of the services, all the things that, or the major things that impact on our everyday lives, on everybody's everyday lives, but actually looking at it in terms of discrimination and the way those services are operate, and unintentionally or intentionally, but I kind of suspect unintentionally discriminate, particularly against black and other racial minority peoples. So that's the work that we'll be doing and be looking at.
We will be looking at education, we will look at employment skills and economy, we will look at health and well-being, we will look at crime, criminal justice system, and we will also look at culture, because this city actually thrives on culture and sets out culture on as a standalone area, because we see it as important. So the task force will also look at culture in quite detail.
I really welcome that culture as part of that task force, because I think what's interesting is that we look now that culture's really cross-cutting across all of those areas that you've just been speaking about, and especially now we look at how important the supply chain is at the moment, and how it's affecting everybody in different areas. So I'd be interested to see who that person is who takes that role on. And really, it's very much a strategic level here. I'm saying really that, and you're looking at people not about themselves as individuals, but actually what they can do as a whole.
The task force will only be able to be successful if we look at things at a strategic level, but also dig down in terms of tackling the systemic barriers and the institutional barriers that exist, and we need to do that in a very strategic way. So it's really important that, yes, we operate on a strategic level. We'll be looking to break down the systemic institutional barriers that exist, and that we will not be looking at individual cases to solve individual cases, but we will want to learn from the individual experiences, the lived experiences of people, right across the board.
What is your ambition for this role? And obviously it's not a long period of time really, so how do you see that journey happening as we go forward?
Well, for me, it's more around the systemic racism that's just being inbred in society. And so that narrative that black people are less than, I mean, it started off from actually dehumanising black people, and that's what slavery was all about. We dehumanised Africans. They were treated as animals, basically, and not human beings. And that, and whilst that's not the case now, there's still, over those centuries, that narrative that black people are less than and cannot achieve, that are, they're not ever going to be able to rise because they're not educated, they haven't got the education to do that, or they haven't got the ability, or black people are all criminals, or, and all those stereotypical narratives that actually we just need to tear them down and actually bring them into the light, because some people just unconsciously have that bias. So when kids are going into school, teachers don't necessarily expect them to achieve, and we just need to be bringing everything into the light and breaking it down and making sure that all of our kids have equal access to everything right across the city, and that's the work of the task force.
That's great, Tracey. I think we'll end it there, and I think the key word is collaboration and action.
Now, I agree with you, yeah, very much so, and looking forward to the challenge and for all of us to work to achieve it.